Political institutions and legal systems are the products of human minds. The United States government was, in broad outlines, designed by a group of individuals sitting in a room in Philadelphia, just a block from here, in the summer of 1787. 39 men signed the Constitution that laid the foundation for the U.S. government. 12 of them were younger than I am today. Jonathan Dayton was 26. Richard Dobbs Speight was 29. With a few exceptions, they were not geniuses or political experts. They were mostly ordinary men, perhaps distinguished by their wealth, political connections, or military service. The founders of the United States government had their own sets of values, things they cared about, things they wanted the government to embody or to achieve. And they even looked to legal and political philosophers: Plato, Cicero, Locke, Hume, Rousseau, Montesquieu, to help them craft the architecture of the United States. In this course, we will continue this tradition, taking the political institutions and political systems around us not as fixed and unquestionable, but as things to evaluate and, if necessary, to change. This is a class not simply about history or about any one country, but rather about the philosophical views that shape our ideas about governance and governments. Philosophy can aid us in this task by helping us to think about the political values that do and should matter to us, to identify where there might be problems with the institutions we have, and to think about how various changes to our institutions might help address those problems or better achieve those values. Philosophy might seem abstract, but our philosophical commitments have concrete and sometimes even brutal consequences. I became interested in the philosophy behind political institutions at a young age, after finding out the story of my grandfather's death and the circumstances of my father's departure from Cuba. In 1959, shortly after the Cuban Revolution, my grandfather was sentenced to death and executed. He was executed, but one might also argue that he was murdered. The difference lies with one's views about the moral standing of the state in general and of the particular government that executed him. What should the state be allowed to do? That's a question that I've been interested in for most of my life, and a foundational question of this course. But we will ask other questions too. Should our political community have borders? Should we have a democracy? Should we have prisons? How should we punish people? Should we have a constitution? What should be in it? Why should we even have a state? To answer these basic questions of government, we'll read, explore, and discuss the work of classic and contemporary philosophers, and we'll also draw on arguments from law, economics, psychology, and political science. My aim in the class is not to convince you of any one way of looking at politics or political institutions, but to encourage you to think carefully and critically about the legal and political world around you. I hope you'll join me.